Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Bearable Bull here. And I got this aggressively average content for you today. And actually, I should call it one of my favorite interviews that I've ever done. Ladies and gentlemen, today I had an interview with Jordan Freed that I'm posting here on YouTube for all of you. In honor of NFT Week on my channel, I will be interviewing numerous other disruptors in the NFT space. And Jordan Freed, with his company, Immutable Holdings, are definitely making a dent in the NFT space. They own NFT.com, and most recently, they had one of their most important moments in their history. Remember, Jordan Freed was formerly at Hedera in the beginning stages, and I want all of you to listen to all the life advice, investing advice, career advice, and also crypto nuggets that he drops in this video. Genuinely one of my favorite people in this space, and he's definitely going to be a pioneer in the next few years. Now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please enjoy this interview with Mr. Freed. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good evening, good afternoon from wherever you are from across the world. I'm extremely humbled to be here. At the end of the day, you guys know my story and how I go about my business, and the fact that I was able to get Jordan Freed on the other side of the screen just completely humbling for me. Jordan, I've been following you for a long time, believe it or not. Something I want to say is thank you for everything you do. You're really a bulldozer in the crypto space. I look up to what you do, and something I want the people to know, the XRP community, the HBAR community, is tell us about your background. How'd you get into crypto, and how'd you get to having an interest in what it is you're doing?
Yeah, well, so first, Bearable Bull, I can't thank you enough for the kind words. Thanks for having me. And I've been following you for a while as well, and I've
Thank
seen
you.
your upward trajectory. I think timing is everything in life, right? And so much of my story is one of definitely patience, but the other is having the intuitively knowing where we are with the adoption curve of various technologies. And I've been fortunate enough to have been early. Truth is, I'm just a boy from Buffalo that had no direction in life.
Yeah.
I had enough of an interest in the internet, was addicted to the internet, grew up online, and I grew up in a day and age where there was no concept of screen time. In the mid 90s, parents didn't regulate, internet connectivity. You just naturally regulated it yourself because the internet was a pretty bad user experience during the days of dial-up. It could take you 5 to 10 minutes to send an email or to check your email or download images. And as things improved, I got to just grow up fooling around. That was, building characters and avatars in MMORPGs like RuneScape, and creating secondary markets around RuneScape gold points. I got into a lot of trouble as a teenager doing what gamers now call RWT. Hardcore gamers hated me because we helped more casual players buy rare items in games like RuneScape, and then RuneScape gold points, which were really hard to earn. And sold them. Ended up getting a lifetime ban from PayPal, and
How does that work now with everything?
Yeah, no, there was so much of things were developing so quickly online, and back then I just, as a 12-year-old, I would just lie about my age. I just would always say I was 18 or older because I was actually in such a hurry to grow up and get to do all the things that 18-year-olds got to do, like form companies and open bank accounts and play Texas Hold'em on the internet. I did it all.
Yeah.
I remember joining Commission Junction. I first learned about affiliate marketing when I was like 11 or 12 years old. And I'm like, wait a minute, I can make money selling someone else's product. Sign me up. And I was affiliate marketing at 13, 14 years old. So I tried everything. Yeah, AdSense arbitrage. I'm, one of 10 kids, 3 brothers, 6 sisters. again, modest middle class family, great parents, had a great childhood, but in a family of that size, it was all hand me down clothes. It was
Yeah.
never had a new pair of Nike shoes. Never really got, always wanted to be financially independent. Always just, if I wanted $20 to go see a movie with friends or something along those lines, it was my dad would say, hey, you've got to go out there and earn $20. So I was always looking for a way to do that. So I ended up not going a traditional path. I started in college, but I really never went to class. I was
Mm.
enrolled and I started another company, summer storage business for college students, again, fooling around online. And I finally drop out and move to Budapest, Hungary,
Mm.
where I realized my first realization. I think it was a good one, and I tell this to people who didn't have a direction. Again, this is just back to timing, being patient, and finding an opportunity. Luck is, I don't believe in it. I think we make it, and luck is really just a combination of effort and finding the right opportunity. And for me, that opportunity came in Budapest. I wanted to watch my Buffalo Bills. I wanted to unblock the American Netflix library.
Hmm.
And I built a VPN service for myself and some friends that ended up being called Buffered VPN. Um, and we started growing rapidly. It turns out it wasn't just me that wanted a VPN. It was lots of other people that wanted to,
Hmm.
use Hulu and Pandora and access BBC iPlayer outside of the UK and RTE player outside of Ireland and CBC outside of Canada. And we grew, and I was fortunate enough to grow that business. And while running that company, users started emailing us anonymously saying, hey, I really would like to pay you in this thing called Bitcoin, which
Hmm.
is, again, just being in the right place at the right time, spotting the opportunity. We became one of the first consumer software businesses to take Bitcoin as a payment method. And then we sold the business in 2017. So that's how I got into blockchain. That's my long-winded story
And
on
and
how, yeah.
and dude, how old are you now?
I'm 33 years old.
Okay,
So
so still young as hell.
I feel young. I feel some days I feel old and some days I feel young. It depends on the room I'm in.
Uh,
I'm it just, I put myself in a room with, guys who are in their late 40s or early 50s, and there's just a tremendous wealth of knowledge. And I think what older people have that us young guys lack is a lot of that emotional awareness, first, that emotional intelligence, and
mm,
then just a lot of the situational awareness that, younger operators don't. I've made and continue to make sometimes bad decisions when it comes to hiring, because I think I know it all and I think I know that I'm really good at it. But, so I
yeah.
feel really young and green in those kind of environments, which is why we've got a board of directors and I've got a lot of wiser, older mentors around me who can help guide for some of that. But man, in some of these crypto rooms, in some of these meetings in the NFT space, I feel like a dinosaur. I mean, some of these creators are like 21 years old or 22
Yeah.
years old, and they've already made a few million bucks on a drop. And I'm like, man, I'm learning from them every single day. So
Mhm.
I think this week I'm here in New York City for NFT NYC. We're posted up in some office space in Midtown right now
Mm.
with some of our team. And man, I'm starting to feel really old here in crypto, which I think is the only industry I would feel old in.
Goodness. It is
Yeah.
what it is, man. I have to say, I don't think many people knew that background about you and how you got started. I'll be honest too. I'm very technically illiterate for being in the crypto space, right? So half the things you said just over my head, but it was still nice to learn about, my brother. Thank you so much
Of
for
course.
sharing. And I think with all that being said, I think I'll lead you into just kind of how you got started with Hedera. Just a little background about me. I've been an H barbarian for a really long time.
There we
I've
go.
heard about H bar coming to the scene back in 2017 before you were even like available for me to purchase. I was just like, H bar is gonna take over the planet. I heard about you guys. Whenever you guys go on exchanges, I'm gonna throw all my life savings. I don't care what the price is, all my life savings. So that's my second largest holding behind XRP at the moment. The XRP army does know this about me, but something I'm curious about is being a co-founder. What was your role and what was your experience like working with all the people behind the scenes?
Yeah, you listen, there's so many people in crypto that jump to define themselves as a co-founder. I think,
Mhm.
Ethereum's got like 12 or 15 people claim to be a co-founder. I'm
Yeah.
going to do the opposite here and give all the credit to Manson Lehman. My
Mhm.
story with Hedera
Mhm.
was, it wasn't even called Hedera then. I found the two guys. I found the
Mhm.
founders. There's only two founders of Hedera
Mhm.
officially, called Mance Harmon and Dr.
Mhm.
Lehman Baird.
Yeah.
I decided after selling Buffered VPN, I had to get out of Budapest, Hungary. Like I had to get out, man. I mean, I'm in Central Europe and I kind of got stuck there. I was never supposed to be there that long, but you start a business. We
Yeah.
had an office. I have this big team, engineers and customer support people, and everyone's based out there. So I kind of got to the point where I'm like, man, I'm ready to come back to the US. I'm an American. I want to start my next company back in America. And I moved to New York City with no idea what to do next. Got cash. I've done well. And I'm like, hey, Frank Sinatra said it. If you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. So I'm
Anywhere.
like,
Yep.
let me see if I can do it in New York.
Mhm.
And I knew I was going to start something else. I had no idea what it was going to be.
Mhm.
So at this point, I'm just managing my own crypto portfolio. I'm making early stage investments in crypto companies. I did all the ICOs, literally every single ICO of 2016 and 2017, I invested in. Most of them are no longer around. And I quickly learned what a fast money project was, a company that was going to make a big buck really fast and make a big splash, and those that were there for the long haul to execute.
Mhm.
And the two people who stood out like a sore thumb are these, gray haired computer scientists with a Southern drawl from Texas
Mhm.
who are in New York. And I ended up catching up with a really good buddy of mine, Andrew Masanto,
Mhm.
who I'd met in Budapest in 2012, who sends me this white paper, this Hashgraph white paper. And I send him a list of 25 questions I have on this thing called the Hashgraph consensus algorithm. He goes, whoa, 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 whoa. Just meet with the guys and go talk to them. I don't even understand your questions. Talk to them directly.
Yeah.
And I end up getting a chance I get a 1 hour meeting with Manson Lehman, and they've got this company called Swirlds, but they haven't really raised any money for it yet. And the 1 hour meeting became an 8 hour meeting. Became an
Yeah.
8 hour day. I ended up spending the entire day with Mance Harmon and Lehman Baird, right place, right time. And I basically tell them my only interest in this is if we can use the algorithm and do a public network based on this. Because if it does what you say it does, why would we do what you want to do? What they wanted to do at the time was just license this Hashgraph consensus algorithm to all these companies. And I'm like, no, we have to start an Ethereum style network. It's got to be a general purpose public application network powered
Mhm.
by the Hashgraph algorithm that can do smart contracts, that can do NFTs, that can do all of these things. We weren't even talking about NFTs back then. It was just smart contracts.
Yeah.
And we weren't even talking about DeFi. We're like programmable finance. The notion of that started to become clear that that could be a thing, but it's still even too early for that. It's mostly just tokens. People
Mhm.
were doing tokens in 2016, 2017 on Ethereum using a smart contract. So um, I ended up I ended up pouring a good chunk of my liquidity at that point into Swirlds and
Yeah.
into a company that we called the Hashgraph Consortia. We later renamed to Hedera Hashgraph and the Hedera Governing Council. And I was never supposed to work there. I was an investor. I was
Mhm.
just a guy writing a check and one of the first to write a check. But somehow I started just picking up expenses on my credit card. We decided, hey, let's go out to TechCrunch Disrupt. Andrew would pick up some expenses. He was sort of the founding chief marketing officer, and I sort of adopted founding business development. I started approaching large companies because our vision was we were going to build a governing council. Sounds like an intergalactic governing council now, like when we look back on it, but it was like
Yeah.
this group of international companies, multi-billion dollar multinationals that we could approach that would do this with us. Google, IBM, Boeing, Deutsche Telekom. And that was the role I started to fill. So at a certain point, it was, all right, I invested, but now I'm working to make my investment actually worth something because there wasn't a team. And then we didn't get paid. There was no salary, but I was in a position where I didn't need to work for a salary. So I worked for HBAR, and turned out to be a pretty valuable thing to work for
Mhm.
free. Back then, again, just the timing was good for anyone building a layer one protocol. I knew that there would be more than just Ethereum on the protocol side. Um, And I had purchased XRP at that point, and I had purchased even the only other thing I was owning. I purchased IOTA at 1 cent. I
Mm.
purchased Neo. Remember the Neo
Oh
block?
yeah.
Supposed to be the Chinese Ethereum. I'd bought into all of that, all of those new protocols. So I was fascinated with anyone who was trying to build a new protocol,
Hmm.
and then what they were doing that could be different and unique. And then obviously Hedera was when I found that it was, I stopped deploying my own capital and I'm like, okay, let's focus on this. Let's build something. But I wasn't the CEO. I got a fancy title. Mance was like, we'll call you the senior vice president of business development, which was funny. I was 27 years old at the time. So I'm like, I'm a senior vice president of business development.
Uh,
And I had no business doing the job, man. I had no credentials to do it. I literally would be meeting with C-suite executives, CIOs and COOs and CEOs of Boeing,
yeah.
of Deutsche Telekom, of the CEO of Google Cloud, who flies around on the Google's, G650.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah, and it was, I'm pinching myself that I get to meet Thomas Curry, and if for those that don't know, he was 22 years the president of Oracle under Larry Ellison, number two in the organization under Larry Ellison. Guy's made maybe a billionaire at this point. He's made hundreds of millions of dollars at least. And he gets recruited to be the CEO of Google Cloud. And he's like literally number two at Google right now under is it Sundar Pichai? Yeah, it's Sundar Pichai. And it's, if Sundar ever retires, Thomas Curran is probably next in line to be the CEO of Google, all of Google, not just Google Cloud, but Google
crazy.
Cloud is one of their most important. And you didn't meet with him as a 27-year-old with no credentials. It was crazy, absolute craziness. So
That's a
loved it and did it for many years.
that's a humbling story, man. And
Thanks,
I,
man.
I mean, if people listening at home today, if you got nothing else from what Jordan just said, hey, things that are meant for you, they'll happen. Just put yourself out there. Look at me, guys. I over here, I say aggressively average on my channel every single day, completely anonymous, and I'm speaking with Jordan Freed, right? So it's like you put some content out there, you put your name out there, you put your work out there. God knows what He has in store for you. So just do it.
Amen.
So,
Amen. And I was actually having a conversation with sort of a good friend, but also somewhat of a mentee yesterday. And um, I think the sort of question was, are you where you want to be? I think my response was, I'm 80% of where I want to be. There's a lot more I want to do, but it was more how one's behavior. I think everyone has these lofty goals. These
yeah.
lofty goals of like, hey, I want to make $1 million, or hey, I want to launch a protocol. I want to make $10 million or $100 million, or I want to be a billionaire or something, right? People have these crazy goals. I find it's not so much about the goal; it's about becoming the type of person or becoming the type of company capable of achieving that goal.
Yeah.
I was a really shitty CEO in my teenage years and in my early 20s. I had no idea. Can I swear on this show?
Dude,
I
go
don't,
to town. Hell yeah.
I had no fucking idea what I was doing. I didn't. I had a notion or this idealized view on what I saw on TV on what a CEO did, but
Yeah.
I was objectively an awful CEO. I never showed emotion. I didn't lead. I didn't lead people in the proper way. I didn't have any leadership training or any of those proper characteristics. But by fucking up so many times and realizing this is how you don't lead, I think I became a pretty damn good leader, and I learned how to hire it and learned how to, who not to hire. And I'm still not perfect, but I'm making those mistakes. So, every so often, and I think for people listening to this, hopefully, they find some of this helpful. I always say, forget the goal is great, but I always find that when you get to the goal, it's somewhat underwhelming because all of a sudden you hit it. And I sold my first company, you become a multimillionaire, and you're like, holy cow, you did it, and you're excited for like a hot second, but you then realize it wasn't so much about getting to that point; it was getting better. It was the journey of getting 1% better every day, whether that's going to the gym and building muscle or losing weight, or whether that's, hiring and scaling and all of that. It was actually, for me, selling companies is really anticlimactic. I actually don't enjoy it, or exiting from a company. The amazing fun was building Hedera It was when it was just Manson Lehman and Andrew and me, and we needed to hire Natalie Furman, our lawyer, and we needed to hire a team. And it's like building a family. It's, can we build a cohesive unit of people, bring in the right people and put the right people in the right seats, and all of us work together collectively to accomplish the goal. And then you look back on it and you're like, holy cow, we built HBAR. That's so exciting. That's amazing. And I'm really proud of that. Or wow, I built Buffered VPN and got it to a point where a company found us valuable enough to buy it. That is so much more valuable than the end goal. So yeah, everyone out there, just go for it. And you're not going to be perfect at first, but you'll get better as you go.
That's right. And kind of speaking on the building up of companies, you have a new baby, right? That's called Immutable Holdings, right?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of FUD in the HBAR community among HBARbarians when I left. I think a lot of people misinterpreted it because they don't know me well enough, and maybe I don't talk personally enough about it. I didn't leave because I don't believe in HBAR. I didn't leave because I don't like the project or think it's, going in the wrong direction or anything like that. It was the opposite. I left because I knew that the company was in, or the protocol was in a position that it was always going to exist and always win. If there's one thing I'm certain about, is that HBAR is still here in 10 years. HBAR is still here. And that's not financial advice. Speak with your own financial advisor. But I think we future-proofed Hedera. I do. I think we've got a governing council that has a vested interest in it. There are dedicated employees at some of them that are literally building on top of the network. And you can go to Hedera's website and look at the use cases, which are incredible. Everyone from like Avery Dennison, a multi-billion-dollar company, the reflective lights on the highway or the reflective signs on the highway. Avery Dennison makes all of those, and they've got an IoT use case on top of Hedera. Google's got use cases, and IBM's got use cases. And it's really exciting to see everything that's going on there. And I'm like, okay, this is going to live beyond me. And there are people who actually have credentials who are better at what I'm supposed to be doing here. Let's bring those people in and have them do this. And at that point, we'd already made the decision that there was going to be this HBAR Foundation and Hedera, and that the foundation would future-proof it even further by incentivizing people to build around it. So when I left, I think people were like, what? Jordan's leaving? What's going on here? And you're never really leaving it. I never stopped believing it. I'm still, I think I'm still the biggest HBARbarian in the world, but I'm a junkie, man. I have a problem. I'm a drug addict, and my drug of choice is starting companies. It's building products and getting them to traction. And I think I'm going to do that until I die. I don't know how to not do that. I think for some people, for like Warren Buffett, it's going to his desk every day and finding undervalued companies that he can take long positions in and be a value investor. And, for Bill Gates, it's going to an office every day or figuring out how he can solve major world problems. And for Elon Musk, it's like, I think he'll work until he dies and trying to make humans interplanetary and, colonize Mars and building tunnels to prevent traffic in certain cities. And for me, man, it's just blank canvas, starting amazing Web3 projects. I've made a very conscious, intentional decision that I will work in this Web3 blockchain crypto space, likely for the rest of my career. And I think there's so much more that has to be built to get us to the point of mass adoption. So I wanted to build a vehicle first. I built a company called Immutable Holdings. Immutable Holdings is the parent company of this business. This is here, NFT.com.
And a couple more.
And just a few more, but I'm like, okay, so I want to do a lot, but I can't do everything at once. You can't boil the ocean. Any success I can claim to have was because I put blinders on. You can see I have like ADHD. I'm crazy. I'm like very excited. I'm running around doing all of this stuff. But the success really started coming when I focused on just one thing, just build the VPN brand, just build Hedera, just build Immutable and NFT.com. Immutable is our vehicle. Immutable is like a venture studio, but all that means is we've got great lawyers, we've got great engineers, we've got great marketers, we've got a stack of people, and those people are now focused on NFT.com. And that is the opportunity we see before us. And after NFT.com, yes, we have a lot of other planned businesses. We own the toll-free number 1-800-BITCOIN, and we'll be building that. And there's more coming on that. We already built an asset management business. We're one of the largest asset managers for HBAR. We have over 400 million HBAR under management in a fund. We were able to bring people like Kevin O'Leary into that fund from Shark Tank. He's got HBAR exposure and he's an HBAR-barian, and many others, big names, several multi-billionaires, a couple owners of basketball teams, NBA teams are in that fund. And that's been exciting because now I get to pitch HBAR and sell it. I'm not officially at Hedera or at the HBAR Foundation, but I can go out there and still be like, hey, you guys need HBAR exposure. You need to be doing something with HBAR, and we, as an asset manager, could help them. So we had a fund there that we had started, and we actually got those people in. They're still in the money. We got them in around 2 cents in the market, which is great. And that's us. That's what we do.
That's amazing, my brother. And something I do want to touch on is you kind of hinted at how you and Kevin got introduced, like becoming friends first and things like that. But Kevin O'Leary's been pretty public about investing in your company. I believe it's a third of Hold that he owns at the moment. That's pretty.
Let me correct that. Kevin does not own a third of Hold. Kevin wanted to own probably all of Hold or half of Hold and definitely a third of Hold, I think is the quote. But he didn't end up getting it. I told him it wasn't Shark Tank and he'd have to invest, and he did. He wrote a check and he came in, and Kevin's been a very strategic investor for us. He's a meaningful among our individual investors. He's one of the largest individual shareholders outside of a company on our cap table. I believe it's public, or you can figure it out online. So I won't say exactly how much, but he's incredibly helpful. I mean, what an amazing guy. Of all the sharks on Shark Tank, I've got to say, Kevin is by far the most impressive. And he gets it. He really just gets it. It's very rare to find someone like him that's had such a storied, accomplished career in business to be that character, Mr. Wonderful, that he plays on TV, but also find the time to roll his sleeves up and manage a crypto portfolio and get to figure out who the most important guys in the space are. He's in it with Sam Bankman-Fried from FTX. He's in it with his own. He's rolling up, consolidating Canadian cryptocurrency exchanges with a company called WonderFi. And of course, he immediately tagged us, and we won't let him down as a company that is likely going to be a market leader in NFTs through Immutable Holdings. So Immutable Holdings is publicly traded in Canada under the ticker symbol HOLD, Hold, not HODL, but Hold. And we're really excited to be literally one of the only publicly traded companies that can give you exposure to the NFT sector. So, we're modest. We're definitely a small cap company right now. And of course, the market's been brutal for anyone, but independent of our stock price or market cap on a day-to-day basis, we have a strong balance sheet. We knew that this was coming. This is not my first rodeo, man. I've seen every market cycle from 2012 until right now. I remember Bitcoin 1,000 to 200. I remember Bitcoin 20,000 to 3,000. That was a crazy drop. And I remember, I'll never forget this one, and we'll remember this one, but we planned for it. So we've got the runway. We're actually still hiring engineers during this period, which is a great period to still be hiring engineers because they're all being let go from, Coinbase and BlockFi and lots of the other companies in the sector. But I think I attribute that to, again, just timing, my perspective, because I got in the space early. I've seen these cycles. So when you saw 60, you knew it was going to come down, and you knew it was going to come down to 20 again. I mean, all the smartest guys in the space knew that it eventually has to happen, which is good because Bitcoin just will change hands. It'll change hands from the people that were always going to hold it short term back to the people that continue to be long-term believers. And that same is true for XRP. The same is true for HBAR. We like our position. We're positioning ourselves for 2024, 2025, where when this runs up again, the Bitcoin halving block reward will drop from 6.25 to 3.125. Bitcoin, we still believe for at least the next couple of cycles, will be the main driver for what drives a crypto bull market. I would like to see that run up happen, and I think we will shortly after that having. So I would say sometime in 2024, maybe mid 2024 going into 2025. And I do think we'll see another crypto bull market, and we're positioning ourselves for that. NFT, people will say NFTs are dead. Expect it, anticipate it. Everyone's going to say the apes are dead. The punks are dead. Great time to be picking up a crypto punk if you don't have one. Maybe we'll see even more correction from here. Again, not financial advice, but you may get that opportunity. But NFTs aren't going anywhere. And everyone, our belief, and we're very convicted in this, we're betting on it, both personally and as a company. We're betting that everyone who's lucky enough to be alive in a decade or two is going to own an NFT. And they're going to likely get it from NFT.com if we execute the way we think we can execute this year, 2023 and 2024. And that's crucial. Everyone's freaking out about prices, but my message to everyone listening is turn off CoinMarketCap, log out of your exchange, and look at where are the opportunities in the market right now and what do I have control over today?
Yeah.
Because independent of the price of Bitcoin or the price of XRP or the price of HBAR, what do you as an individual have control over? And for us, that's getting this into the market as quickly as possible with a dominant feature set and a good user experience with proper decentralized governance behind it that gets a community of people excited so that when NFTs are back front and center, because, you know, we're you can kind of feel we're entering this lull, that we're the dominant platform. And it's what, you know, Bull, you saw that with, you know, remember crypto.com? They started as Monaco, then they bought the crypto.com domain, and no one really talked about them or heard anything from them in 2018, 2019. But this last run up, 2020, 2021, both front and center. Matt Damon commercials on television and all of that. They built during the bear. And they were a beneficiary of the bull, and we're going to build during this bear. And man, you better believe you'll be hearing a lot about us during the next bull.
Hostile takeover of the crypto market. That's what I could say.
Just a chip on my shoulder, man. Still a boy from Buffalo with a chip on my shoulder. You know, Hedera is not a top 10. It still bugs me that HBAR is not a top 10. It bugs me. I don't just want to build a really great tech product. I want it to be one of the best in the world. Yes. And our vision with NFT.com is, you know, we want to make OpenSea Alta Vista. I'm pointing for the fences, and I'll call it out there. It's a bold statement to make, but I think we can do better. OpenSea is a Web 2 platform putting lipstick on, calling themselves a Web 3.
Hey,
do better. We can do better.
I think I have two of my favorite quotes from you. One is OpenSea will become Alta Vista, right? And then there's another one where I believe you compared Immutable Holdings to be the Berkshire of blockchain, something along those lines.
I've been thinking through that comparison, and you know, Berkshire has no focus. They look for value businesses and they buy up as much as they can, right? You've got Geico, but then Dairy Queen, and then Nebraska Furniture Market, and lots of other businesses. Us, Immutable, we're solely focused on decentralization. We're solely focused on Web3. If it's in Web3, we either want to build it, buy it, or partner with it. And so I said the Berkshire of blockchain. I think that confused a lot of people because they're like, hey, Berkshire is very different than that. So I've kind of moved away from that. Now I just call it a Web3 holding company or a Web3 venture studio. But yeah, I do think that what excites me about what we're doing is OpenSea is not available to you and me. We can't invest in it. Only Mark Andreessen and Ben Horowitz can, or Sequoia Capital, or the fancy venture capitalists that are protected by 100-year-old securities regulations, which tells Americans that they're not smart enough to invest money. Only venture capitalists can deploy capital because they're not accredited investors. Outdated legislation that we've got to do something about. And this protects, and then just, you know, only the few get to invest in Coinbase before they go public, or OpenSea. They're going to try to go public at some point in the future. And all of that. So our vision was, fuck that. What if we took Immutable Holdings public early in our life cycle? And what if people could take exposure to a bunch of real operators that have built real stuff in the past and follow us through this. Canada turned out to be the right regulatory environment to work on Web3 things as a publicly traded company. I hope to one day bring it to a US market so it's more easily accessible. But for now, our neighbors to the north have been very receptive and very friendly. And again, even if there's this market correction, this dislocation in value, where frankly, it's crazy. If you go back to the dot-com crash, at one point, eBay was trading at 50% of their cash on hand. Not even and they were profitable already. It wasn't even a function of a value of discounted cash flows for how you value that. The same is, we're not too far from that point now on the NASDAQ. If you look at Coinbase, if you look at, Coinbase shares, they have a strong balance sheet, and they've been performing quite well in a good market and will likely still be around, but they've dropped to not the traditional multiple price to earnings on their share. And some of those value opportunities will continue to present themselves, especially in tech in a period of rising interest rates. So our market cap may not be reflective of it, or our stock price may not be reflective of it. But again, that doesn't affect how we operate on a day-to-day basis. It's an opportunity to give new employees stock options at a low price point, so they also can be beneficiaries of the next market write-up. Or people can buy our stock, not financial advice, not telling you to go buy our stock, but they have an opportunity to at, I don't know what we're trading at, 50 cents Canadian at the moment. And if you believe that we're the guys that pull off NFT.com, how fun is it to just ride along with it, both in the equity and then, as a user of the platform. So yeah, I'm pretty anti-venture capitalism.
That's amazing to hear, my friend. That's amazing. To kind of focus more on NFT.com specifically, right? You guys had a massive event happen recently, didn't you? Right.
Yeah, we just announced the results of it. So, I admittedly had big eyes, and we wanted to. We're first overwhelmed. I mean, the amount of support that we had for this launch is honestly overwhelming. We have now thousands of people who are Genesis key holders, who are actively contributing as beta testers of our earliest feature releases of NFT.com. Okay. And they're active in a Discord channel called the GKC Lounge, the Genesis Key Club, if you will. And they're in a lounge, and I pop in there and we hold meetings. We're all actually meeting. We put an event called WAG Meet. We're all going to meet for the first time in New York City, which is why I'm here in New York, which is super exciting. And I'm going to meet these random people from all over the world in New York City that own Genesis keys, and we're gonna chat and figure out what everyone wants to see on NFT.com. But our vision is one that I think got everyone excited, and that led them to want to be Genesis key holders, which is, again, we think we can build the dominant platform, the dominant decentralized community of NFT collectors and NFT creators. Our mission is to bring billions of people to millions of creators. That there are going to be millions of creators in the future creating non-fungible tokens. And we want that to be on NFT.com. The rules of NFT.com are going to be very different. And the framework will be very different because it's not Web 2 at all. Yeah. When you come to NFT.com as a Genesis key holder, you get to mint a profile, and you own that profile as a token, as an NFT. Only one person can own NFT.com/Jordan. Only one person can own NFT.com/Bull. And you can do whatever you want with that. You can, upload a profile picture and a cover photo, and in the future, list NFTs and display all the NFTs you've purchased. But that's yours. You could also, just flip that name and sell it to maybe another Bull or another Jordan or someone else. So we're really excited about that. The social features that could come from that. That we know the community wants in the future. And again, if you just look at the data on the space today, we've got less than 10 million people in the world who have ever purchased an NFT. Mm-hmm. So we think that number is going to be, next cycle into the hundreds of millions. And we're excited to be part of that shift, part of that new movement to get new people into the NFT space.
Yes, yes. And personally, because a lot of people have wanted to ask me to have you explain a little more what NFT.com and the Genesis key kind of is. It's the simplest way I've been able to put it is just you're getting a like a domain to build a profile. Is that a fair way to describe it?
Yes. So it's the way I would describe NFT.com is we're trying to be the Instagram of NFTs with
Mm,
commerce functionality, where you can where it is a full blown market, but you also have you have a profile that you own. That if you're a collector, it's your gallery, and if you're a creator, it's your storefront.
mm,
That's what we're building, and
that's
it's not owned by a big bad billion-dollar tech conglomerate like a Meta or an Alphabet. It's community driven and community governed. Um, that's where we fit into the market, and we think the next great tech platforms aren't going to be launched by a dude in a dorm room or a guy in a garage, but will be launched by communities. So the reason we did a Genesis key is we believe that communities will lead the best products in the future and will govern them, because that's the opposite of Web 2. The problems we have in Web 2 today really stem from users being disenfranchised, not having a voice, not being able to monetize properly, and having platforms honestly either strip them of their rights completely or deplatform them, as we
yeah.
saw happen
Yes.
in the past. And we think that Web3 is the answer to that by putting users first. So we built community, minimal viable community, before minimal viable product. You just kind of invert the product development. Don't build, the next Facebook first. Build your community first and make sure that they're involved every step of the way in what you're trying to build. It's somewhat counterintuitive. At least you have to unlearn a lot of what we learned in Web 2. It's different than how we built buffered VPN, but it's better, and you'll get better products, and you'll get better products because the communities are in charge. The community isn't the product. On Facebook, you as a user are the product. They're taking your data, they're monetizing you. Here, now the community is in charge, and they can make sure their data isn't stolen, and they can help set up the terms of service and the rules and all of that. And man, it's going to be exciting to see how the internet changes as a result of communities like this forming. And by the way, as you know, none of this is theoretical. MakerDAO works in this way.
Yeah.
Uniswap works in this way. There's lots of fantastic examples in Web3 already of people building communities and then launching amazing platforms through or with the help of those communities.
Yes, yes, excellent, excellent. I love that approach, man. I really do. I guess something I could ask as well for people that may be interested, that maybe uh missed the initial minting, if you will, right? How can you get a Genesis key now?
Yeah, so they're up on OpenSea. You can buy them on OpenSea or LooksRare or some of the other marketplaces, not on NFT.com yet. In the future, in the not too distant future, you will be able to.
Mhm.
But you can still join, and we're in Discord. Our whole team's in Discord, so definitely go to NFT.com. You can get information there and get involved.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. For those of you at home, you should definitely at least inquire, consider, and learn as much as you possibly can at this given moment. Um, well, along to kind of pivot away just a little bit from NFT.com for a second, something that really caught my attention and something that'll really resonate with the XRP community specifically is that Immutable Holdings, you guys have CBDC.com.
Yeah,
CBDC.com.
we
What
do.
what are you guys going to do with that?
Well, the plan is not to start a CBD business,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
I've loved. So I love everything about Web3, man. I'm a
Yeah.
total blockchain nerd. And one of the things that got me the most excited when I fully started understanding what you could do with a blockchain was beyond just tokenization, was central bank digital currency.
Mhm.
And I have so many. My problem is not that I don't have ideas, it's that I have so many and I don't have teams ready to execute on them, or I don't have the time to be able to build all of them. I can't build a central bank digital currency business at the same time I'm trying to build NFT.com. You could, but I don't think both would be as successful as or
Yeah.
reach the full potential.
Yeah.
So I choose to focus very much on one thing at a time and go all in on one thing and then move to the next thing when we reach a critical point or an inflection point where the community is large enough, the users are large enough, the adoption is large enough that we can then move on and focus on the next pillar. So Immutable will stand on many legs. It will have many business lines at scale, businesses that we either build or businesses that we end up buying.
Yeah.
But right now we have a lot of brands that are planned businesses. CBDC.com is something that we wholly own, and it is a planned business line where we see a massive opportunity. The reason we focused on NFT.com and building that brand into a business line for us first is the timing. Again, I said, and it all comes back to timing. Timing is everything, you know. So building an NFT business in 2022 puts us, we believe, in the right place at the right time, not just today, but also 2, 3, 4 years from now, for what we believe is going to happen in the NFT industry. The CBDC industry is very nascent. It's way too early. It's largely theoretical, and moving governments to a point where they're ready to adopt and deploy central bank digital currencies. It's something that they'll invite you to talk about. In 2017 and 2018, I got to meet with the Monetary Authority of Singapore as an example on Project Ubin.
Yes.
And I've met with central banks all over the world, where I've gotten to meet the central banks in Japan, the central bankers over there, and the central banks of so many different countries. In Hungary, I was with the central bankers in Hungary, talk about CBDC, and all over the world. And they're so willing to take your time to talk about it, but they're not yet willing to deploy, or even in some cases do POCs. So everything in the market in the CBDC space is largely proof of concept or small deployment in very small countries. There's like a sand dollar now in the Bahamas, and there's lots of countries looking at it or doing proof of concepts, but there's nothing really being rolled out at scale yet. So that's something we want to do, but we're waiting for the right time to, again, commercialize on that opportunity. I predict towards the second half of this decade, maybe 2025 to 2030, there'll be a lot more open RFPs, requests for proposals, and actual expenditures by governments themselves to start to move in this direction. And we certainly hope to be one of the companies that they hire to help them through it.
Noted. Very nice. Thank you. And that was just a bit of a selfish question, to be honest with you, because I saw it on there. I'm like, okay, he's gonna drop some bombshells right there. But to kind of bring it back to NFT.com very quickly, I don't want to misquote Kevin O'Leary, but I think I heard it this way. I believe he stated a vast majority of S&P 500 companies are beginning to build on NFT.com. Is that true? Yes or no?
That's not true. I have to correct that. So we have lots of interest from lots of large companies. Some of the most important consumer brands in the world are either prospective partners, or I'll just say are prospective partners. I have to be very careful in what I actually say, and unfortunately, we can't share more until the time is right. But we do expect there to be a growing number of, if you just kind of look at the space and you look at what we've seen happen to date, we haven't seen enterprise adoption of NFTs yet. It's talked about, and the technology is now being understood. But I do expect that the next bull in NFTs will largely be driven by some of the most important enterprises in the world adopting it. And we are in conversations with many of them of just owning their presence on NFT.com, of, hey, own NFT.com / whatever your amazing multi-billion-dollar brand is. And that's something that they're very eager, many of them, to be a part of. So Kevin's maybe to just adjust the Kevin quote, it's that we are in conversations with some of the most exciting Fortune 500 companies in the world. And man, that's, again, I'm pinching myself to, I'm still, I'm my biggest critic, but the fact that even here, in my early 30s to get to have some of these conversations or have these companies organically reach out to us is, it's amazing. I can share, we're doing stuff with, and we're lucky to count not just Kevin O'Leary as a partner, but Justine, who's a very famous YouTuber, Seth Green. Seth Green is one of my favorite actors. I love his cameos and just, I love his career. He's amazing, from Austin Powers to, what he's what he's up to now with Robot Chicken and his animation studio and all of that. And then we've announced many others. We're working with the founder of Comic-Con, Gareb Shamus. Comic-Con's unbelievable in the comic industry, and I'm excited for their new project, Kumite. And we expect to see some of these things on NFT.com. In fact, he said we would on a Twitter Spaces this week. There's a long list of signed up partners. The management company behind Post Malone, Electric Feel, we count them as an advisor. An amazing art gallery here in New York, Todd Kramer, who's a very large collector of contemporary artists like Nina Chanel and Cause, but also is big in the NFT space, is very close to us and is an advisor. So we are surrounding ourselves with what we believe, or who we believe to be the smartest and the most likely to succeed in the sector. And then we'll be able to announce many, many, many more publicly when we've got the proper permissions and we file the proper disclosures in Canada with the Canadian government to be able to share that information.
Excellent. Thank you for correcting that, and thank you for sharing that information too, my brother. I think something that I'm personally very curious about, and a lot of people that may be NFT skeptics are curious about, is where do you think the technology is going to evolve? Me personally, I'll be honest with you, I see the profile picture NFTs as nonsense. I don't like the profile picture NFTs too much. But what I will say is that the NFT technology, in my opinion, is so revolutionary. It's going to shock the planet more than it has already. I personally view the future of NFTs is branding and also membership, things like that. What is your perspective on it, seeing as how you probably have your finger a little more on the pulse?
Yeah, so everything that we've seen happen in NFTs has been really, I would say, defined as memes have always, like a meme, a viral meme, has always sort of defined consumer behavior. And if you actually just kind of look at consumer behavior, actions we take as consumers or decisions we make as individuals, it's sort of all driven by a meme, a really viral meme or a really viral idea. Why do you buy Nike shoes? Just do it, right? Just do it. It's their slogan. Just buy the Nike shoes. Why do you buy Bitcoin? It's digital gold. Isn't that the viral narrative now behind Bitcoin? Why do you vote for Barack Obama? Well, yes, we can. Or why do you vote for Donald Trump? He's going to make America great again. Everything that we do, all the decisions that we make, it's funny how memes have helped define that. And if you look at the NFT space today, it's no different. People are buying Bored Apes because of the meme culture behind the fact that DJ Khaled has it and Post Malone has it and Steph Curry has it. And he just won an NBA championship, and all Mark Cuban has it. And now everyone has one. And now it's a meme. It's a really cool piece of art that you can own the intellectual property behind, and you can do stuff with it. You can go to Ape Fest, you can do stuff, and we're seeing how that evolves. I believe we're entering a period, everyone says Web3, and Web3 is a buzzword, but what does Web3 mean? I believe that Web1 was just defined as, the internet is just a fad, web presence, period, where all the skeptics, the reporters said the internet's just a fad, it's not going to exist. We obviously know that's not to be true. And this is, this was every individual, every company is going to need a web presence. And, you know, we've seen that happen with churches. We've seen that happen with synagogues. We've seen that happen with mosques, and everyone has a web presence now. You know, from the barber shop to the law firm and the accounting firm. Web 2 was it was time to be social, and it was all user generated content. So now users can blog. If you have a bad experience with a brand that has a web presence, now you too can have a web presence, but generate content on why you had a terrible flight on American Airlines, or why you had a really bad experience at Burger King, and you can leave them a review, and now you can be social. And now everybody has to be social. Even KPMG, a really boring business and auditing firm, tweets and has a blog themselves, and they're social, and they interact with their clients, their partners, and their customers. Web 3 is going to be defined as the internet of ownership, where everyone is an owner. If you own Bitcoin, you're a part owner of the Bitcoin protocol. There's no CEO and CTO and COO. It's a decentralized community of people that everyone feels ownership of. If you own XRP or ETH or HBAR, you are a stakeholder, or another just another way of saying an owner of that protocol. And in some of these protocols, you have governance rights. In some of these protocols, you have decisions. Both NFTs and tokens in general can make you that stakeholder. So we believe that both are tools for that. NFTs could be used for voting, or tokens could be used for voting. And we've got snapshot.org, which is a voting tool where how you join DAOs is it's one token, one vote in some cases, or it's at least a common case today. And people can vote, and they can steer these DAO-like communities, these decentralized autonomous organizations. What we're really excited about for NFTs in the future is it being a part of a toolkit that companies can leverage, that allow their individuals and their users to become real owners, real stakeholders of these particular micro organizations. So I'm getting the wave because I've got to actually wrap up and join our team for an all hands here. But to kind of give you an idea, we're very excited about the future. We think the next phase of NFTs is going to be really dominated by utility and things that you can do with your NFT. And I think it's anyone's best guess where that goes, but we're very confident that means that, you know, it'll be a login credential at NFT.com. Your NFT is actually used to log into our website. That'll be access to events. That'll be access to individuals. It'll be tools. It'll be tooling in that regard. So.
Excellent. Dude, I'm not going to take up more of your time. You got to wrap up. You got an entire empire to build, my brother. What I will ask is, after this is over, let me speak with you a little bit right after. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. Jordan Freed, much love.
Thanks very much, man.